He woke slowly, like his mind was climbing out of deep water. Sounds came first. A low alarm, metal groaning, distant shouting in a language he barely understood. Then weight, heavy weight pressing down on his chest and shoulders. His eyes opened. For one terrible second, he thought he was being attacked. A large alien figure was above him, close enough that he could see the fine patterns in her dark blue skin and the faint glow along the ridges of her neck. Her arms were braced on either side of his body. Her long coat was torn, and one sleeve was burned almost completely away. Sparks fell from a damaged light above them. His heart slammed hard. She noticed his movement instantly. "Do not move," she said sharply. Her voice was deep, controlled, and very familiar. It was Commander Tavara, his boss, the most feared officer on the station. She was on top of him. He froze, not because of embarrassment, but because her eyes were not focused on him. They were scanning the ceiling above them, sharp and alert. Her body was tense, like a shield pulled tight. Another explosion rocked the station. The ceiling panel above them cracked, and burning debris fell. Tavara shifted her weight instantly, turning her shoulders so the debris struck her armored back instead of his face. Pain flashed across her expression, but she did not make a sound. Only then did he understand. She was protecting him. "Commander," he said weakly. Her eyes flicked down to him for half a second.
"You are awake. Good."
"Stay still. Why are you quiet?" Something massive crashed nearby. The floor shook. Emergency lights switched to red. Smoke filled the air, thick and sharp. He tried to sit up, but pain shot through his head, and he groaned. Tavara pressed one hand against his chest, not hard, but firm enough to keep him down. "You suffered neural shock," she said.
You lost consciousness after issuing the override command.
Override command? His memories were scattered, broken into sharp pieces. The control room. Warning signals. A countdown he did not understand at first. Alien officers shouting over each other. Systems failing faster than anyone could respond. And then, "I rerouted the energy flow," he whispered.
The secondary core was going to rupture.
"Yes," Tavara said. "It would have destroyed this entire sector." Her tone was calm, but there was something different in it now.
"Something tight. You gave the solution in 12 seconds, she continued. Then you collapsed? Another blast echoed through the station, farther away this time. He swallowed. "The station is under attack?" "Yes. Who?" She did not answer immediately. Her eyes moved again, tracking the ceiling, the walls, the door. When she spoke, her voice dropped lower. "Internal forces." A coordinated strike. They disabled security, communications, and gravity controls in multiple sections.
A betrayal, then. That was worse than an outside enemy.
He felt cold, despite the heat and smoke. "Why am I still here?" "Why didn't you evacuate?" Tavara looked at him fully now. Her eyes were golden, slit-pupilled, and unreadable to most species. Humans had learned to read them anyway. It was a survival skill. There was no anger there, no contempt, only certainty. "You were unconscious when the ceiling collapsed," she said. "I could not leave you." The words hit him harder than any explosion. He was human, a junior systems analyst, one of only 3 humans on a station controlled almost entirely by alien species that measured worth by strength, rank, or biological power. Humans were useful, but expendable. At least that was what everyone believed.
"Commander, you didn't have to." "I did," she interrupted.
You are under my command. Another violent shake cut through the station. The cracked ceiling finally gave way.
Tavara reacted instantly. She lowered her body fully over his, wrapping one arm around his shoulders and the other around his head. Her armored back took the impact as metal and debris crashed down. Dust filled the air. The sound was deafening. He felt the shock through her body, but nothing struck him. When the noise finally faded, silence rushed in, broken only by alarms and distant fires. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Tavara slowly pushed herself up, wincing as she shifted her weight. A thin line of dark blood ran from a cut near her temple. "You are unharmed?" she asked. He nodded quickly.
Yes, I think so, she exhaled, a sound that was almost relief, then stood and offered him a hand.
He hesitated only a second before taking it. She pulled him to his feet with surprising care. The corridor around them was wrecked. Walls torn open, wires hanging like broken veins. Emergency shutters half closed. The station he had worked on for 3 years no longer felt solid or safe. "How long was I out?" he asked.
6 minutes, Tavara replied. Long enough for the situation to worsen. She activated a wrist device, scanning the corridor.
Her brow furrowed. "Command is compromised," she said. "Senior officers are missing, or confirmed dead."
"I am alive," she said. "That will have to be enough."
They started moving. She led, weapon drawn, steps light despite her size. He followed, his head still aching, thoughts slowly coming back into focus. As they moved, he noticed something strange. Tavara stayed slightly in front of him, but also slightly to the side. Always between him and open spaces, between him and damaged walls. Still protecting him. "Commander," he said after a moment, "I can help. If I can access a terminal, I might be able to." "I know," she said. He blinked.
You do? You already have, she replied. Twice today.
They reached a junction where gravity flickered on and off. Sparks floated, then fell, then floated again.
She paused, studying the area. "Human," she said, not using his name, but not in the cold way others did.
"Yes. When you gave the override command earlier, you did so knowing it might kill you."
He hesitated. It was the only option. "That is not an answer." He met her gaze. Then, yes. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Most species freeze when facing certain death," she said.
"Others panic. You did not."
"I was scared," he said. "Yes," she agreed. "And you acted anyway." That seemed to trouble her more than impress her. They crossed the junction just as gravity stabilized. A security drone rolled toward them, damaged but active, its targeting system locked on. Before he could react, Tavara stepped forward and destroyed it with a single shot. The corridor fell quiet again. "Commander," he said, choosing his words carefully, "if command is gone, someone needs to coordinate the response." "Yes. And if communications are down?" "Yes. And if the attackers control security?" "Yes." She turned to face him fully now. "You are suggesting something," she said.
He swallowed. I'm suggesting that I can help you think.
"Strategize. Humans are good at connecting broken systems." She studied him for a long moment. In the distance, something screamed. Not a siren. A living thing. Finally, she nodded once. "Stay close," she said, "and do not die." A strange smile tugged at his mouth despite everything. "I'll try." They moved deeper into the station, toward fire and danger. One alien commander and one human analyst. Behind them, smoke filled the corridor where an alien had chosen to shield a human without hesitation. Ahead of them, the station waited to see what that choice would cost, and what it would change. The station felt different as they moved deeper inside it, not just damaged, but wounded. Lights flickered like tired eyes, doors opened only halfway. The air smelled of burned metal and something bitter that made breathing hard. Tvara led without hesitation. Her steps were steady, her weapon always ready. The human followed close, just as she ordered. He did not like how small he felt in the wide corridors, but he forced himself to keep moving. They reached a side control room that had escaped the worst of the damage. The door was bent, but still functional. Tavara forced it open and motioned him inside. "Work," she said. "Fast." He did not ask what she meant. He rushed to the nearest terminal. The screen flickered when he touched it, then stabilized. Systems data poured in. It was worse than he feared. "Commander!" he said, voice tight. "This wasn't random." She stood guard at the door, listening to distant movement. "Explain." "The attack patterns," he said, fingers flying. "They hit power, gravity, security, and command in a very specific order. Someone planned this to cause confusion first, then panic." "That was already obvious," she said. "Yes," he replied. "But what isn't obvious is that they avoided the lower habitat rings." She turned slightly.
Why would that matter?
"Because that's where most non-combat staff live," he said. "If this were just a takeover, they would use civilian deaths as pressure. But they didn't. They want control, not destruction," he continued. "They're trying to make the station surrender." A distant explosion shook the room. "Who would benefit from that?" he asked quietly. Tavara did not answer at first. Then she said, "Several factions within the Council. That was bad. The Galactic Council did not rule by unity. It ruled by balance. If the station fell into the hands of one faction, the balance would break, and humans would be crushed in the aftermath." He swallowed and kept working. "I can restore limited communications," he said after a moment. "But only local. Station-wide will take time." "Do it," Tavara said. He rerouted power through damaged lines, bypassing security locks that were never meant to be overridden by someone like him. Sweat ran down his face. His head still hurt, but he ignored it. A voice crackled through the terminal.
Is anyone receiving this? This is Engineer Kalesh.
We are trapped in Sector 12. Security has turned against us. The transmission cut out.
But it was enough. "We're not alone," he said. Tavara stepped closer. "Can you locate them?" "Yes," he said.
But if I open the system further, whoever is controlling security will notice. She looked at the screen, then at him.
"Do it anyway," she said. He hesitated. "They'll know it's me." She met his eyes. "Let them." He took a breath and executed the command. Alarms shifted tone. The station responded like a waking giant. Almost immediately, security units began redirecting toward their location. "They know," he said. Tavara smiled slightly. "It was not a pleasant expression." "Good," she said. They moved again, leaving the control room behind. As they walked, the human noticed something strange. The fear was still there, but it no longer controlled him. Instead, his mind felt sharp, focused. Every problem was a puzzle, every danger a calculation. This was when humans were strongest. They reached a large atrium where gravity was unstable. Bodies floated slowly, held by safety harnesses. Some were injured, some were unconscious. Alien species of many shapes and sizes looked up when Tavara entered. Relief spread across their faces. "Commander," one of them said, "we thought command was lost." "It nearly was," Tavara replied. "Status: security units attacked without warning," another said. "We barricaded ourselves." Tavara turned slightly and gestured to the human. "This is my systems analyst," she said.
You will listen to him as you would listen to me.
The room went silent. They stared at him, at the small, soft human with no armor and no weapon. He felt their doubt like a physical weight. One of them spoke. "Commander, with respect." "He saved this station once already today," Tavara said. "If you doubt him, you doubt me." No one argued after that. He stepped forward, heart pounding. "We don't have much time," he said. "Whoever controls security is trying to isolate groups like this.
They want you scared and waiting. What do you suggest? Someone asked. We move, he said, not randomly. Together, we create false signals to confuse security, then evacuate civilians to safe zones. How? Another demanded. Security controls the routes. He nodded.
Usually, but they didn't plan for a human. He began giving instructions.
Simple, clear, fast. To his surprise, they followed. As they moved, security drones appeared, only to be redirected by hacked signals. Doors opened just long enough to let groups through, then sealed again. It wasn't perfect. They lost people, but fewer than expected. At one point, a heavy blast door jammed halfway. Smoke poured through. On the other side, voices cried out. Tvara tried to force it open. The mechanism screamed, but did not move. I can reroute power, he said, rushing to a panel. There is no time, she said. She stepped forward, braced herself, and began forcing the door open with raw strength. Her muscles strained, cracks spread through the metal. Then a security turret activated behind them. He turned, saw the targeting lights, and did not think. He threw himself at the control panel, ripping it open and crossing wires with bare hands. Pain exploded through his arms. He screamed. The turret powered down. The door opened enough for the trapped civilians to escape. He collapsed to his knees, shaking. Tvara was at his side instantly. Why would you do that? She demanded. He laughed weakly. You said not to die. She stared at his burned hands, then at his face. Something changed in her eyes. Not respect. Something deeper. They finally reached a secured medical bay. Civilians were safe, doors sealed, power stable. For the first time in hours, there was a pause. The humans sat against the wall, exhausted. Tvara stood in the center of the room, looking at the people she had saved. Then she turned to him. You should rest, she said. I can't, he replied. Not yet. She frowned.
Your injuries can wait, he said.
But this can't. He pulled himself up and returned to the terminal. I think I know who's behind this, he said. The room went still.
Who? Tvara asked. A coalition inside the council, he said.
They're using the station as leverage. If they control it, they control supply lines. And if they fail, they'll blame humans, he said quietly. We're the newest species here. The easiest scapegoat. Silence followed. Then Tvara said something no one expected. Then, they have made a mistake. She stepped closer, placing a hand on his shoulder. The room watched in disbelief. They underestimated you, she said. And through you, they underestimated your species. He looked up at her. We're not strong like you, he said. No, she agreed. You are something else. Outside the medical bay, security units regrouped. Inside, a human planned. And across the station, the balance of power began to shift. The pause did not last long. The station never truly rested, not even when wounded. Outside the secured medical bay, distant impacts echoed through the metal halls. Somewhere far away, something exploded, and the floor vibrated under everyone's feet. The human stood at the terminal, eyes moving quickly as data streams updated. His burned hands trembled slightly, but he ignored the pain. Pain was simple. The situation was not. They are adapting, he said quietly. Tvara turned from the sealed door. Explain. Security units are changing patrol routes, he said. They're no longer reacting to false signals. Someone is watching patterns now. That means command-level intelligence, she said. Yes, he replied, and it means they've noticed us. As if the station itself wanted to agree, the lights dimmed and emergency red returned. A voice suddenly filled the medical bay, echoing from hidden speakers. Commander Tvara, it said calmly. You are making this more difficult than necessary.
Every head turned upward. Tavara's posture changed instantly. She stood straighter, her expression hard. "Identify yourself," she demanded. A soft sound followed, almost like a sigh. "You know me," the voice replied.
High Strategist Velrix, Council Authority.
A ripple of fear passed through the room. Velrix was not a soldier. It was worse. He was known for planning wars that others fought and died in. He never raised a weapon himself, but entire systems burned because of his decisions. "You are far from council space," Tavara said. "You have no authority here." "On the contrary," Velrix replied. "This station is council property, and due to recent instability, emergency authority has been transferred to me." The human felt his stomach tighten. "That was the play." "If that were true," Tavara said coldly, "you would not need to hide behind hacked security systems." A pause. Then Velrix spoke again, his tone smooth. "I admire your loyalty," he said. "But you are on the losing side. Surrender command. The civilians will be spared." "And the humans?" Tavara asked. Another pause, longer this time. "They will be detained," Velrix said, "for investigation." That was as close as he came to admitting it. The human clenched his jaw. "Commander," he said softly, "he's lying." "I know," she replied. Velrix continued. "Your systems analyst has already caused considerable damage. Hand him over, and I will consider leniency for the rest." The room went silent. All eyes slowly turned to the human. Fear crept up his spine, cold and sharp. He had known this moment would come. Humans always became the price others were willing to pay. He straightened his shoulders. "No," Tavara said simply. Velrix laughed. "You would risk everything for one human?" "Yes," she said. Another pause. Then the speakers went dead. Immediately, the door to the medical bay shook as something heavy struck it from the outside. "Contact!" someone shouted. Tavara drew her weapon. "Defensive positions!" The human moved to the terminal, fingers flying despite the pain. "They're sending heavy units," he said. "Armor piercing. They'll break through in less than 2 minutes." "Options?" Tavara asked. He scanned quickly, then froze. "There is one," he said slowly. "But you won't like it." "Say it." "There's an old maintenance shaft beneath us," he said. "It connects to the core access ring. It's unstable. No security coverage." "That's why they haven't sealed it," Tavara said. "Yes," he replied. "But if we can reach the core access ring, I can transmit evidence of the takeover attempt to neutral council members." "And if you fail?" she asked.
He met her eyes. "Then this station falls."
"And humans take the blame." The door buckled again. "Move," Tavara ordered. They evacuated the medical bay through a hidden hatch just as the main door finally collapsed. Security units poured in, weapons firing. But they were already gone. The maintenance shaft was dark, narrow, and shaking. Gravity flickered wildly. More than once, the human nearly lost his footing, only to be caught by Tavara's steady grip. "Stay focused," she said. "I am," he replied, breathing hard. They moved downward, deeper into the station's spine. The air grew hotter. The hum of the core became louder. A deep, constant vibration felt more than heard. As they moved, the human noticed something strange. Security units were not following. "They're hurting us," he said suddenly. Tavara stopped. "Toward what?" "The core ring," he said. "Velrix wants us there." "Why?" she asked.
He swallowed. "Because if something happens to the core, he can blame sabotage."
"On us." Before she could respond, the shaft opened into a wide circular chamber. The core access ring. It was vast, glowing with contained energy. Platforms circled the core like spokes around a wheel. Normally, dozens of technicians would be present. Now it was empty, except for one figure. Velric stood on the far platform, surrounded by elite security units. He was tall, thin, his species known for their long lives and sharp minds. His eyes gleamed with satisfaction. "Welcome," he said.
I hoped you would make it. Tavara raised her weapon. Do not, Velrix warned.
One shot, and the core destabilizes. The human stepped forward before Tavara could stop him. "You planned this," he said. "From the start. Yes," Velrix admitted easily. "The station is too important to be left to outdated command structures." "You mean shared leadership," the human said. Velrix smiled. "I mean inefficiency. You use civilians as leverage," the human said. "I protected them," Velrix replied. "More than your actions ever could." "That's a lie," the human said. Velrix tilted his head. "Is it?"
You've damaged systems, caused chaos.
"How many died because of your interference?" The words hit hard. Doubt crept in. Then Tavara spoke. "Enough," she said. "And this," Velrix sighed. "Very well." He gestured. Security units raised their weapons. Before they could fire, the human acted. He had noticed something earlier. A slight delay in the core's energy pulses. A flaw in Velrix's control. He slammed his hand onto the control panel beside him. The core flared. Alarms screamed louder than ever. "What did you do?" Velrix shouted. "I introduced instability," the human said, voice steady despite the chaos. "Not enough to destroy the core. Enough to force a system-wide lockdown." "You're lying," Velrix said. "Check your displays," the human replied. Velrix did. His expression changed. Security units froze as emergency protocols activated, locking weapons and sealing platforms. The core stabilized. Silence followed, broken only by alarms slowly winding down.
You would risk everything, Velrix said quietly. Yes, the human replied.
"Because someone had to stop you." Velrix laughed softly. "You think this makes you heroes?" "No," Tavara said. "It makes us necessary." Velrix looked between them, calculation flashing in his eyes. Then, suddenly, the platform beneath him shifted. The lockdown had trapped him, too. For the first time, fear crossed his face. "This is not over," he said. "No," the human agreed. "But it's enough for now." As emergency lights shifted back to normal, distant voices echoed through restored communication channels. Help was coming. Velrix had lost control, and the galaxy had just seen something it did not expect. A human standing between power and catastrophe, and refusing to step aside. The station did not celebrate. There was no sudden calm, no feeling of safety. What followed was worse in many ways. Confusion spread through every level as systems restarted in fragments. Some lights returned. Others stayed dark. Gravity stabilized in one corridor and failed in the next. The human stood near the core control panel, breathing hard. His hands shook, not from fear now, but from exhaustion. The burns on his palms throbbed with every heartbeat. Tavara moved beside him, watching the sealed platform where Velrix stood, trapped behind emergency barriers. Council security symbols flashed on the shields, overriding his control. "You locked him in," she said. "For now," the human replied. "Emergency law doesn't care who you are. It locks everyone out. Even him," she said. "Yes," he answered, "especially him." Across the chamber, Velrix's calm mask had cracked. He paced the small space, speaking rapidly into a wrist device that no longer responded. "You've delayed the inevitable," Velrix called out. "The Council will not side with you. They don't need to.
Tavara replied coldly. They only need the truth. The human turned back to the terminal.
Communications are partially restored, he said. But the network is unstable. We have minutes, not hours.
Then we use them,
Tavara said. She activated her command channel, broadcasting on every frequency still open. This is Commander Tavara. Her voice echoed through the chamber and beyond.
I am assuming temporary command authority. All loyal personnel, respond and regroup.
For a moment, there was nothing. Then voices began to answer. Weak, broken, but alive. Engineering responding. Medical here. Security Unit 7, still operational. The station was answering. But the enemy was not gone. A warning flashed across the human screen. Commander, he said quietly. Multiple internal forces are mobilizing. Velrix wasn't alone.
I expected that, she replied. Where? Command Spire?
He said. And the defense grid. Her jaw tightened. If they regain control of the grid, she said, they can turn the station into a weapon. Yes, he said.
And they know we'll try to stop them?
She turned to him fully. You cannot come with me this time, she said. He frowned.
What? The Spire will be a fight, she said. You are injured, and I need you alive. I can still help, he said.
From a terminal? From anywhere? I know, she said, which is why you will go to the relay hub. He hesitated. That place is exposed, which makes it the last place they expect you, she replied. You will coordinate from there. He searched her face, seeing the truth behind her words. She was worried. That was new. I'll do it, he said finally. They split at the junction without ceremony. Tavara moved toward the command spire with a small group of armed personnel. The human headed in the opposite direction, guided by flickering lights and half-working maps. As he walked, he felt the weight of what he was doing. If he failed now, everything they had done meant nothing. The relay hub was worse than he remembered. Glass walls shattered, consoles destroyed. The stars outside looked cold and distant through cracks in the hull. He activated the main terminal. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the system responded. Yes, he whispered. He began coordinating. He rerouted power to loyal units, fed false data to hostile groups, opened paths, and closed others. He spoke to engineers, medics, frightened civilians. He did not shout. He listened. That was the difference. Meanwhile, Tavara reached the command spire. The doors were sealed. She did not slow down. Explosions echoed as her team breached the entrance. Inside, chaos ruled. Council loyalists fought against Velrix's supporters. Security systems fired without clear targeting. Tavara moved through it like a force of nature. Every decision was sharp, every movement exact. But numbers were against her. A heavy blast struck nearby, throwing her against the wall. Pain flared through her side. She forced herself up, ignoring it.
Commander!
Someone shouted. I am fine, she snapped. She was not. By the time they reached the control chamber, only 3 of her team remained standing. Inside, enemy officers waited, weapons raised.
This ends here,
one of them said. Tavara lifted her weapon. And then everything went wrong. The defense grid powered up, not fully, but enough. Across the station, alarms screamed again. At the relay hub, the human froze as new warnings flooded his screen. No, he breathed. No, no, no. He tried to shut it down, but access was blocked. Someone had anticipated him. He switched channels instantly. Tavara, he said urgently. They're activating the grid. Partial control.
You need to...
The transmission cut off. Static filled his ears. Panic surged. He slammed his fist against the console, ignoring the pain. Think, he told himself. Think like a human. The defense grid ran on layered authorization. Council codes, military codes, and one other thing. Trust algorithms, designed to prevent exactly this kind of takeover. But no one had updated them in decades. He smiled, grimly. Outdated, he murmured. That's your weakness. He rewrote the trust parameters on the fly, feeding the system data from every loyal action taken in the last hours, every civilian saved, every command given without self-interest. The system resisted. He pushed harder. Sweat poured down his face. Come on, he whispered. Deep within the station, the grid hesitated. In the command spire, Tavara felt it. The weapons tracking her stuttered. Systems lagged. Then one of the enemy officers shouted, "The grid isn't responding!" What? Another yelled. Before they could react, the defense system shut down. Lights flickered. Silence fell. Tavara did not waste it. She moved. When it was over, she stood alone in the control chamber, breathing hard, blood running down her side. She leaned against the console, strength finally failing her, her vision blurred. She activated her communicator weakly. Human, she said. Status. At the relay hub, he sagged against the terminal, barely standing. Grid. Neutralized, he said. You? A pause. Then her voice, quieter than before. I am still standing, she said, but not for long. Fear cut through his exhaustion like a blade. Stay awake, he said. I'm sending medical teams. He rerouted everything he had left. Across the station, doors opened. Medics ran. Tavara slid to the floor as help arrived, her strength gone at last. As consciousness faded, one thought stayed with her. The human had done it. Not with strength, not with force, but with something far more dangerous. Care. And across the station, officers and civilians alike began to understand the truth. This was no longer just about saving a station. It was about who deserved to lead when everything was breaking. And for the first time in the galaxy's long history, the answer was changing. The station survived. That truth spread slowly, like light returning after a long eclipse. Fires were contained, hull breaches sealed, gravity stabilized across all major sections. The wounded were treated, the dead were counted, and the fighting finally stopped. The human sat on the floor of the relay hub long after the alarms went silent. His back rested against the terminal that had nearly burned out under his hands. Every muscle hurt. His head throbbed. His palms were wrapped in emergency bandages, already stained through. But he was alive. A medic finally reached him, breathless and wide-eyed.
You're the human, she said.
He looked up tiredly. I guess so. She scanned him quickly. You need to come with us, now.
Commander Tavara, he said immediately. Where is she? The medic hesitated.
In surgery. Critical but stable. Relief hit him so hard he had to close his eyes. Take me there, he said, trying to stand. She helped him up without arguing. They moved through corridors that looked almost peaceful now. Emergency lights had dimmed. Cleanup teams worked quietly. Survivors spoke in low voices, as if afraid to wake something terrible again. As he passed, aliens of many species stopped and stared. Some bowed their heads. Others simply watched him with new eyes. He did not notice. He was too focused on one thing. Tavara. The medical wing was crowded. Officers, engineers, civilians, many waited silently. When he entered, conversations stopped. An older alien officer stepped forward. You are the human who coordinated the counter-response, he said. Yes, the human replied carefully.
You saved my family, the officer said. They were trapped in Habitat Ring 4, the human swallowed. I just did my job. The officer shook his head.
No. You did more? He stepped aside, letting the human pass. Tvara lay in a recovery chamber, surrounded by softly glowing equipment. Her armor was gone. Her wounds were bandaged. Machines hummed steadily, measuring life. She looked smaller without her command gear, weaker. That scared him more than anything else had. He moved closer, stopping just short of touching the chamber. A medical AI spoke quietly. Commander Tvara is unconscious. Her condition is stable. Recovery probability is high.
He exhaled slowly. Good, he whispered.
He stayed there for a long time. Hours passed. Or maybe minutes. He could not tell. Eventually, someone else entered the room. High Council Observer Lithari. The alien was ancient, tall and silver-eyed, their presence heavy with authority. You are the human, Lithari said. Yes, he replied. You acted without rank, Lithari continued. Without authority. Without protection. And yet, Lithari said, you coordinated defenses, protected civilians, exposed a council-level conspiracy, and prevented the weaponization of this station. The human said nothing. Lithari studied him closely. Why? The observer asked. He thought for a moment. Because someone had to, he said. And because no one else was listening to the people who were scared. Silence followed.
Then Lithari nodded once. Velrix is under arrest, the observer said. Along with his allies. The evidence you transmitted was thorough.
The human felt a small, tired smile touch his face. Good. The council will debate consequences for some time, Lithari continued. But one decision has already been made. The observer gestured toward Tvara. Her actions will be recognized, Lithari said. As will yours. The human frowned. I don't want. This is not a reward, Lithari interrupted. It is a correction. The observer's gaze sharpened. Humanity has been misjudged. The words felt heavy. I'm ordering an immediate review of human integration across council space, Lithari said. Effective now, humans will no longer be classified as auxiliary support species. The room seemed to hold its breath. What does that mean? The human asked quietly. It means, Lithari replied, that humans will be allowed command paths, strategic roles, and representation. The human looked back at Tvara. She believed in us, he said.
Yes, Lithari agreed.
She did. The observer turned to leave, then paused. When she wakes, Lithari said, tell her the balance has shifted. Then they were gone. Time passed. Finally, Tvara stirred. Her eyes opened slowly, unfocused at first. Then they found him.
You are alive, she said weakly. So are you, he replied, his voice rough.
That is good, she said.
He smiled, unable to stop himself.
You scared me, he admitted.
She closed her eyes briefly. I did not intend to. Next time, he said. Don't get stabbed while saving the station. A faint sound escaped her, almost laughter. Human, she said softly. Do you understand what you have done? He shook his head. Not really. You changed how the galaxy sees your people, she said.
That cannot be undone.
He looked down. I didn't do it alone. No, she agreed. But you stood when others would have stepped aside. She shifted slightly, wincing. You should have run, she added. He met her eyes.
You didn't? Something passed between them then?
Not romance, not obligation, trust. Days later, the station gathered, not in one place, but across every deck, every screen, every channel. Tavara stood again, supported but unbowed. Her injuries were visible, so were his bandaged hands. The council observer spoke briefly. Official words, legal outcomes, arrests. Then Tavara stepped forward. This station stands because many acted with courage, she said. But one truth must be spoken clearly. She turned and faced the human. This human acted not because he was ordered to, she said.
But because he cared. Murmurs spread. In the darkest moment, she continued, when command failed and power was abused, he chose to protect those weaker than himself. Her voice hardened.
That is leadership. She placed a hand on his shoulder. I name him Strategic Coordinator of Station Operations, she said.
Effective, immediately. The reaction was instant. Shock, anger, approval, hope. The human felt dizzy. Commander, he whispered. Are you sure? She looked down at him. Yes, she said simply. Later, when the station returned to its normal rhythm, he stood alone by a viewport. Stars stretched endlessly before him. Once, waking up with an alien on top of him had been terrifying. Now he understood what that moment truly meant. An alien commander had chosen to shield a human, and that choice had changed everything. Humanity was no longer invisible, no longer expendable. They were seen. And the galaxy would never look at them the same way again.